Hello, good evening, and welcome back to this week's edition of Science Weekly. This week's episode will be on animals that can light up and just how they do that. First off, there are two kinds of glowing animals, bioluminescent and fluorescent animals. We're going to start off with fluorescent. One example of a fluorescent animal is the South American tree frog. In the sunlight, this animal is simply yellow, but in twilight, it glows lime green. This happens because of molecules with excitable electrons. When the right wavelength comes in from the sun, these haloid chemicals in the skin and glands of the tree frog excite. When these electrons settle down, they release their own light. The reason for this light emission is very unknown, but the light is most likely to attract mates. This kind of fluorescence is extremely rare with land animals. It is much more common to see it in water animals like turtles and fish. But some exceptions to this rule are the scorpion, the nematode worm, and certain parrots. Nematode worms emit light as they die because of a glycosylated anthranilic acid pigment. This pigment absorbs light and then emits a blue wavelength. It begins in the gut and extends to the whole body. Now, let's move on to bioluminescent animals. Some examples that I'm sure you've heard of are the firefly, the jellyfish, bacteria, and even certain kinds of mushrooms. Now, bioluminescence differs from fluorescence because it requires oxygen and specific chemical interactions. The two necessary materials are the fungus luciferin and the enzyme luciferase. Luciferase transfers oxygen to create a new molecule with excited electrons. When the electrons calm back down, they emit light. So, as you may have noticed, there are some similarities between bioluminescent and fluorescent animals. Both are caused by excited electrons calming back down, but the major difference is that fluorescence has to start with light to emit light. Bioluminescence needs oxygen and the enzyme luciferase. But some organisms are able to do both functions and are able to glow based on bioluminescence and fluorescence. The jellyfish of the species Aquaria victoria can do both forms of these light emissions. It emits a blue light via bioluminescence, and then this light produced is used by the jellyfish for fluorescence. And it is used by green fluorescent protein. This green fluorescent protein has become very big in the last few years. In 2008, several scientists won the Nobel Prize for using the GFP and its research specifically to tag cancerous cells. It has also been used to make other animals artificially glow green. So you put this chemical inside of other animals and then it is able to have this fluorescent property. So, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Science Weekly. I know that I sure have. Thank you, and come back soon.